Hey friends, Ash here with Gents with another fragrance rotation video. As you can tell by the suit, we're talking about classy fragrances today. Or at least, for the most part, classy fragrances. Maybe one or two of these you could say don't fall directly into what you would consider a classy fragrance, but for my intents and purposes, all of these fall underneath that umbrella for this video. The last time I did a video with the suit, I had no tie, but I had a pocket square. This time, no pocket square, but a tie. Let me know which one has more credibility. Suit with pocket square but no tie, or suit with tie but no pocket square. Very complicated, I know. Let's not waste any more time talking about that though. Let's jump right into this video. Alright guys, we have 7 fragrances to talk about today. Weekly rotation, 7 fragrances, 7 days, you get the idea. I do need to let you guys know though that I didn't wear these all in succession because I have to break them up by wearing other fragrances that I do reviews on. But in between wearing those fragrances, I do wear basically whatever I want, and that's what these videos are. Let's check out the first fragrance in this rotation, Valentino Uomo Noir Absolu. It's a little bit of a mouthful. I did a review on a Valentino Uomo flanker not that long ago, actually just within the last week, Valentino Uomo Born in Roma. And that is not a fragrance that I love, unfortunately. That one is basically Valentino's take on Invictus. It's Valentino's take on a young man's bubblegum sweet kind of scent. Interestingly though, Valentino Uomo Born in Roma changes into a vetiver based fragrance when it dries down, so that bubblegummy sweetness goes away. That said, who cares? We're not talking about that one. We're talking about this one. It has pepper, cinnamon, incense, sandalwood, and iris as some of the main notes. And this one right here opens up very strong and potentially off-putting. The opening here is not going to be the best for a lot of people out there. It's a little bit sharp and a little bit funky initially, so the opening of this fragrance is going to be one of those openings that has to grow on a lot of people out there. It's spicy and boozy off the top and has a little bit of a similarity to Tom Ford's Black Orchid. Not the exact same, but a similar vibe. Once that sharp opening dies down a little bit though, the edges of this fragrance soften up and it becomes a rich, warm, creamy fragrance mainly centered around iris, incense, and sandalwood. There are also touches of spice throughout the fragrance's lifespan, and it comes across like a very high quality fragrance, which for the most part is what you would expect from Valentino. It has intense staying power off my skin, lasts for hours and hours, and projects heavily as well, which is gonna make this a great cool weather fragrance. Great performance, and the notes lend themselves to cooler weather for fall and winter. The opening can be a little bit sharp, a little bit off-putting. Let that dry down though, and this one's a winner. That's gonna take us into our second fragrance in this rotation. It's a fragrance that I have featured in the past. I've reviewed it, put it in top 10 lists, all kinds of stuff, and I'm featuring it again. It's Luna Rossa Black. I do wear this one fairly often whenever the opportunity presents itself. Bergamot, musk, patchouli, angelica, tonka, and amber are some of the notes. This one is a little bit like you took Bulgari Black and Van Cleef & Arpels' discontinued fragrance, Midnight in Paris, and mixed them together with a little touch of Luna Rossa Sport. I think that overall, this one is more wearable than Bulgari Black and Midnight in Paris. It's easier to pull off, it's more likable. This one is sweet, deep, and smooth. The Angelica gives you a little herbal touch to the fragrance, a little herbal nuance, but the main thing that you'll pick up from this, the main thing that you'll remember from this, is the tonka and the amber mix. It gives Luna Rossa Black this really nice, sexy richness. And to most people out there, talking about non-frag heads, Luna Rossa Black is going to smell extremely unique, because most of your people out there don't really know about Midnight in Paris, and it's not like Bulgari Black in today's day and age is a huge seller either. Nothing against those fragrances, love and own both of them, just stating facts. It does have a little bit of powder to it, a little powdery touch, but it's still a great compliment pulling fragrance. Again, great for fall and winter. Love this one. Next up is a Guerlain fragrance that I have talked about in the past, and there's a reason for that, because I get a pretty good amount of wear out of it. It is Guerlain Vetiver, of which I actually own 3 different bottle styles. I've got this older style bottle, then this one, which came after that one, and then the newer style over here. You'll notice the difference in the caps. This fragrance has a ton of notes. It really does. Leather, pepper, nutmeg, tobacco, vetiver, citruses. There's a lot going on here. This one opens up with an old school, classy kind of feeling to it, which makes sense because it is an old school fragrance. So for a lot of you guys out there, especially if you're younger, this one might come across a bit like a more mature kind of fragrance. In the opening, it has a very noticeable lemon and spice combo. The lemon comes across very strongly. Not like Lemon Pledge though, so don't let that turn you off. And as it dries down, you'll get tobacco, a mix of spices, leather, oak moss, and of course, vetiver. At its heart, to me, it's more of a clean vetiver. At times it comes across a little bit soapy, but it's not so clean that it's going to be something like a Tom Ford gray vetiver. There are some other woody notes that work in with the vetiver of Guerlain vetiver that gives it more of a woodsy backbone. It's a great quality fragrance, especially considering the price, because you can pick this up very cheap at discounters. And like many other vetiver fragrances, Guerlain vetiver is extremely versatile. You can wear this in all kinds of situations. Most people would probably consider this more of a springtime fragrance, but frankly, I don't care. I wear that one year round. When I get a hankering for a vetiver type fragrance and I don't want to wear one of my more expensive ones, oftentimes this is what I go for. Next up is going to be an Yves Saint Laurent fragrance. It is not from their L'Homme line. It is not from their Y line. And it's a fragrance that you really don't see talked about very often anymore at all. And there's a reason for that. It's a classic fragrance from the 90s. It's over 20 years old, so it's not like it's really gonna be getting a lot of hype nowadays. It's this one, Yves Saint Laurent Opium pour Homme. I love this one. I mean, I don't care what any of you guys say out there. This is a classic 90s fragrance. It has Tolu Balsam, Vanilla, Star Anise, and Black Currant as some of the notes in the fragrance. And this one is another one, like Guerlain vetiver, that might be considered on the more mature side of things. And actually the next fragrance that we're gonna talk about after this one could be considered a more mature, old school kind of scent. But we'll talk about that when we get to it. Some people online have talked about Opium being reformulated and being super weak now, basically saying, oh, it lasts 30 minutes and then it's a skin scent. You know, that typical talk. I can tell you that my bottle though, projects like a boss and lasts for a very long time. My bottle's not brand new. This isn't a 2018 or 2019, but at the same time, it's not really a vintage bottle either. It's only 4 years old. Projects like a boss. It's a sweet, spicy, and warm fragrance that's a little bit powdery as well. And one of the things about Opium that I really enjoy is that it has a complete lack of citric freshness or sweetness. I have nothing against citrus. It smells awesome. That's why it's used in so many different fragrances. But sometimes you want a little bit of a break from that norm. You want a little bit of a break from that typical citrus opening. And this does that for me. Like I said, it's sweet, it's spicy, it's a little bit dense, and it also has kind of an incense feeling as it dries down. This is a fragrance that for whatever reason I love to just smell. When I have it on, I just smell it over and over and over again. Maybe that's where the name came from, Opium. It's addictive, you just want to keep smelling it, especially if you're a fan of some of those more old school kind of scents. And I know for some of you guys out there that have been around the block a few times, Opium might not seem old school to you, but when you compare Opium to what's coming out now, it definitely has that old school kind of vibe, and I dig it. Not gonna be for the guys out there looking for your super sweet bubblegummy type scents, but if you want something that's gonna give you a bit of a change from that every once in a while, maybe something that you can spray on as a treat to yourself when you wanna switch stuff up, this is a good choice. Next up, like I said, another old school scent. This one from Christian Dior, Eau Sauvage Eau de Toilette. This has bergamot, lemon, vetiver, oak moss, and basil as some of the notes in the fragrance. Is it possible to go back to back to back with old school bangers? Yes, it is. Eau Sauvage, like vetiver, has a noticeable lemon up top. More noticeable, I would say, in Eau Sauvage than it is in Guerlain vetiver. Along with that lemon, you've got petitgrain, lavender, and rosemary. So you've got a little bit of herbal feel from the rosemary, you've got that clean lavender, and then of course you have the green, brisk petitgrain. As it dries down, it features vetiver and oak moss along with a variety of floral notes. And in my opinion, it's no stretch to call Eau Sauvage Eau de Toilette one of the most classic men's fragrances of all time. Eau Sauvage Eau de Toilette has stood the test of time. This one was released in 1966 and still works and still sells. It definitely has an old school feel to it, but it doesn't smell dated. It still works and it gives off a refined, high-class scent. It's clean, it's masculine, and it's fresh. Eau Sauvage Eau de Toilette, probably more of a spring fragrance overall, but again, I really don't care. And it's one that I just had to bust out and give a wearing to. We've got 2 fragrances left, and the next one up is Hugo Boss The Scent Private Accord. It has vanilla, ginger, maninka, cacao, and coffee as some of the main notes. I've said in the past that I'm a fan of the scent line, and it's always so weird every time I say that, the scent line. But I am. I like those fragrances in general. Some more than others, but on the whole, I think it's a solid line. This one, Private Accord, is one of my absolute favorites from the line, especially in cooler weather, which we've been having here lately where I live. It's got that Meninka fruit that's used in every fragrance in the scent line, which gives you that dusty, exotic fruit kind of smell. You've also got the familiar ginger, which is used heavily across the scent line. But Private Accord switches things up a bit and gives you cacao and coffee along with the dose of vanilla, which makes it rich, warm, and sweet, like a couple other fragrances in this rotation. Perfect for fall weather and winter weather. I have a review of that one, so if you want more information, you can check that review out on my channel where I break it down a little more in depth. Fantastic fragrance though. The Meninka in the scent line gives a twist to all of the scents because they're really the only ones that use Meninka, at least out of any mainstream designer line. So basically in the scent line, you have that Meninka and then everything else is built around it. And what Hugo Boss puts around that Meninka changes up how the fragrance comes across. That one for me, if it's not the best in the line, it's right up there. That's gonna take us to the last one in this rotation. This is a fragrance that I haven't really spoken about on the channel before, which is strange because it's a fragrance I really like. And it's very affordable too. It's this one, Azzaro Visit. The bottle is a little bit interesting to me. It's almost like they took the Azzaro chrome bottles and then remodeled it, because it has the same coloration of the fragrance that you'll see in a lot of chrome fragrances. You have that same Azzaro lettering that's kind of popping out from the bottom of the bottle that you'll see on a lot of chrome bottles, but then it's got a different top, and the atomizer is actually built in right here. So you just press down here, and the fragrance comes out right into your face. At least it smells good though. This one's got pink pepper, nutmeg, cedar, and incense as some of the notes. And this fragrance, Azzaro Visit, gets compared to a discontinued Gucci fragrance, one of the big 3 discontinued fragrances, Gucci Rush. You can go onto Fragrantica and see all kinds of people comparing those 2 scents. One of the big differences though, Azzaro Visit, super cheap right now. You can get it in the $20 range, I believe. Gucci Rush, discontinued, you're gonna have to go onto eBay and pay over $100 easy. Unless the price has suddenly dropped out since the last time I checked it. Actually, that's Gucci Rush right there. Awesome fragrance. In the initial opening, when you spray Azzaro Visit on, it does smell very similar to Gucci Rush. But as they dry down, Azzaro Visit and Gucci Rush do go different directions. That's not a bad thing though. Azzaro Visit is still a fantastic fragrance. It's just this is not a clone of that. Visit has a good amount of spice and incense as it dries down, along with cedarwood and gaiac wood, giving it a woody base. Lots of Azzaro fragrances don't seem to catch much love. They don't get really talked about very often. They don't get hyped very often. You'll catch the occasional good review here and there for something like Azzaro Chrome Aqua or Azzaro Wanted or Wanted by Night. But for the most part, they're not really held in a very high regard, probably because most of their fragrances are Azzaro Chrome flankers. Or at least that's how it comes across. And the majority of the chrome flankers are kind of forgettable. This one though, Azzaro Visit, great bang for the buck. Again, about $20 for a 100 ml size bottle, full presentation. It's great for casual use. You could wear it formally as well. It is very versatile. It's got good longevity and good projection as well. So it's not like this is one of those fragrances where you say, oh yeah, it smells good and it's cheap, but it only lasts an hour. No, this one checks a lot of boxes of what people would want. It's not a young, sweet, loud fragrance though. It is a little more toward the classy side of things. I wouldn't really call it mature myself, but definitely not a young type scent or a scent made to appeal to young people. Either way, Visit is a great release, smells awesome, and is a good bang for the buck. All right guys, that's gonna do it for this rotation. 7 fragrances for 7 days. Thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks for all your support. I'll see you guys again next time with another fragrance video. See you guys.